whatever. Just like
So moving on from there, we go to the first single on the track, probably the most notable of all the records on the album. We have the main track itself, Nomad. So this is the first song that we actually wrote on the album. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we did create this on the same day that we decided to make the album.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, we mentioned that in a previous episode.
Okay. So with this song, a couple of things to note, and I guess I'll just dive into, a little bit of the lyricism here. For me, I mean, this song is really just kind of, I won't call it a relationship. I'm just going to call it a situationship. That,
Ooh.
yeah, it's only
Did you
really
just come up with that?
No, it's a thing.
Oh,
It's a thing.
Well, you know how I am.
Yeah, no,
I don't know common things.
Right. It's well, it's not a common thing. It's just like a social media thing.
Oh, okay.
Just anytime you're in a relationship that is not actually a relationship,
It's a situationship?
It's a situationship. You're in a situation. So I was in a situationship with this girl on and off for probably 3 years. At the time that we were creating this album, a lot of my lyricism derived from that situation and was, born out of those experiences. This song is more or less just kind of about, well, I guess I'll go to the chorus. Now I am a nomad, heart belongs to no lands, out here in the Badlands, surviving any way I can. So at this point in my life, there was not a lot going right in terms, outside of like us creating music, still just trying to figure things out romantically in my personal life and my quote unquote career life or my job life. There wasn't a lot that was going well. So I sort of felt like I was kind of floating around, jumping from experience to experience, jumping from relationship to relationship in spite of this situationship that wasn't working out. And I sort of felt like kind of nomadic. I was sleeping on a lot of couches. I was just
modern day nomad.
I was living at home, but I was, traveling to like my friends' apartments in the city or outside of the city. I was just moving around a lot and I felt nomadic. Like I didn't have any semblance of
any sense of home or
any sense of other than like
belonging.
the actual physical home that I had.
Yeah.
But in terms of like my relationships. So I think an interesting thing to note here, and one thing that I do want to touch on, because it does find itself showing itself recurring in all of the music that we create, is sort of the duality between the way that like my verses are structured versus the way that your verses are structured. So like my verse here, honestly, it's kind of pining, it's kind of self-deprecating. So she banished me from the palace walls, sent me out into the world to fend for myself. Like the boy sent to slay the lion as a rite of passage. I arrived at your altar, heart in hand to pay homage, but you ran your dagger through my heart. Don't you know that you keep what you kill, so my soul belongs to you still. God. Wounded, kind of hurt.
I love that tribal.
Like
That's
that
such a
sacrificial.
like a tribal, sacrificial like undertone to it, you know, and imagery to it all.
Yeah. But I mean, underlying all of that is really just, like a boy that's like trying to like give his heart, that's obviously being rejected by a girl, which is, that happens a decent amount for me. But when we flip it over to your verse and we're talking about sort of the same thing, this kind of
different lens.
Yeah, it goes into the way our personalities kind of differ here, and I like that though, because you're sort of like the again, like the more obstinate kind of like forceful driving force as far as like our creative partnership is concerned, like the way our personalities are.
Yeah.
So your verse is I vanished myself from her recent calls. So basically saying like I stopped calling this bitch. That's with an SH. I stopped calling this chick, and then I went out into the world to live for myself. R.I.P. to that boy I used to be. I'm not that simp anymore.
Yeah.
I'm on my own shit.
So like same situation, but like different,
but different perspective.
Yeah, different.
Like I ain't simping over this.
different reaction. To,
Right. First
to
verse,
the
simping.
circumstance.
Second verse, nah. I'm not about it. Forced into a life of savagery. Replace the hole you made, filled it with a dream. Which, you know, speaks volumes to the way that like you kind of handle things. Like you're always going to put the vision and the dream first. Like if someone's not about it, kick them to the curb,
Yeah.
nix them, right? And I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying in the dream segment. You know, you better stop coming around if you're only trying to knock what I built down. Same thing here. You know, like if it's not aiding in some way, then there's just no benefit. You know.
Right. I wish I shared that sentiment, but I'm sort of kind of when it comes to the two of us, I'm more of like the pining one.
Well, I think also just to play back on what we were talking about with like nothing's changed. I think that strong willedness comes from such a drastic decision of like dropping out of school and like being so like all in with your chips. Like your mindset, like it takes a toll on your mindset. And it really you know, just kind of shapes your worldview in so many different areas, this being one of them. Like I'm not going to let any like small thing like affect the macro, you know. So yeah,
Makes sense. I mean, outside of that, not really too much to say. I guess another interesting thing here, again, sampling of Majora's Mask. We have King Deku
oh yeah,
from
cool.
Majora's Mask.
So another Easter egg, again, just riddled throughout the album.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of different you know, Zelda samples
Mm-hmm.
to play into the lore of it all. This one being the King Deku, and I want to say particularly in the scene with like the monkey.
Oh, yeah,
Do you know what I'm talking
yeah, it's with the
about?
monkey.
With the
Or
monkey.
he's in the palace.
Yeah, in the
He's
palace.
dancing back
Yep,
and
and he's
forth.
dancing back and forth. He goes, "Whoa!"
Mhm.
And it was just an awesome sound. Instead of going like "whoa" or whatever, just like monkey with the little mustache.
Yeah. Then he gets dipped into a pot of boiling water.
My God,
Yeah,
it's
no,
savagery.
it's
That
savagery.
game's dark.
It's very dark.
But
it's probably the darkest of all
It
Zeldas.
is, and that kind of goes in with like the aesthetic of everything. Is that we have like this fantasy pop, but like this little dark side to it.
For sure. For sure. Outside of that, I feel like that's pretty much the main things here.
Artwork.
Yep, I'm gonna pull that up right now. Take a peek at it.
This is one of my favorite artworks. I think this is the first one Tiffany.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we got
drew
us
up.
chilling out here, basically in the Badlands at a crossroads. We got the Converse sneakers chilling here on the sign.
Mhm.
Very large sneakers, so I guess these are inhabited by a giant of some sorts. Again, you got the recurring motifs. You got you chilling with the
MIDI keyboard.
MIDI keyboard here.
I love that.
And yours truly, the boy with the
The
guitar here
weapons
chilling.
of choice. Like
Mhm.
just thinking about like like this layout of weapons in front of you as you embark on this journey. You,
Mhm.
you got a claymore, you got a mace, right?
Mhm.
A bow and arrow, and then just like a MIDI keyboard. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. You cooking.
Yeah, that's pretty much the vibes. I guess the only other thing to mention here is there was a show that we were watching at the time called Into the Badlands. I don't think that it necessarily picked up a ton of traction, but I think were these flowers here in reference to that show?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because in the Badlands, in the show, they're like
Something with
they're like picking the equivalent of like cotton, but it's a bunch of like large fields of these red flowers.
Hmm.
I think I wasn't too much into that show, but we were inspired by like the aesthetic of it.
At the time, we were talking about like how sick would it be like if this song could be like the like the intro song for that show. Is Quentin Tarantino the guy on that show?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Is he?
Mhm.
If he's not, then whatever, we're mistaken. But it's a very Quentin Tarantino vibe. It's very like Kill Bill,
Mhm.
which is pretty sick. I mean, that pretty much covers it for Nomad. First song that we made on the album. It's the slapper, if you will,
Yeah,
on the
it's
album.
the
The El Single El Singolo,
front man of the album.
the front man of the album.